The opinions expressed on this program are solely those of individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of either Spectrum Generations or Time Warner Cable. Mature Lifestyle is made possible by Hollywood Casino. There's no place like Hollywood. And by Knowlton Hewins Roberts Funeral Homes and Cremation Service. Our homes are warm and welcoming, and we take care of you and your family like we would our own. Call us anytime. We are here for you.
Hello, welcome to Mature Lifestyle. Spectrum Generations brings you lots of programs for living, laughing, and learning, and this one is very special. We're reaping the benefits of fresh Maine food, and I'll bet before this show is over, you're going to run straight to the garden or to the nearest farmer's market because we have the best of Maine to tell us how this works. We have a grower, and I'm looking at all her products. I don't know if this all came from your farm, DL. Is it DL? Is that how you pronounce it? DL Lewis?
Yes.
I love the name of your farm, Dig Deep Farm.
Thank you
You're
very
going to tell us more about that.
Sure.
And so you, Allison, are going to show us how to preserve it because as much as we'd like to eat all of this at once, you can't. Exactly. And it looks like you have many things to show us. And if we don't want to cook it ourselves, we can come to Dustin Ricker at the Cohen Center, and he's going to take these beautiful products and turn them into yummy recipes. Absolutely. So it's the whole system that you're going to talk about. But I just have to say, I see the books here, and I think you'll probably be writing one soon. You have some, but not yours. And I have decided, and you have said it might be a good idea, as I look at this arrangement of beautiful fresh vegetables, wouldn't this be great centerpieces for weddings or anniversary parties? Why not use these vegetables in a way that you could, look at this, who thought that could turn out so well? I want to hear more about you. You couldn't have been farming very long because you're very young, but what got you interested in farming in 2012? Here we are in a time when we're going back to farming more, I think. But what about you?
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me and us here.
Thank you.
And a little bit about my background is I became introduced to farming when I was 17.
Yes.
So I've been involved in agriculture for about 13 years.
Well, take us back to when you were 17. What happened?
Sure. Well, my first summer job was blueberry raking the season.
That's hard work,
before.
But delicious.
Totally delicious. And that was a huge introduction to open space, and it really cultivated a love of land. And then the following summer, my high school math teacher introduced me to Jan Goranson and Rob Johansson at the Goranson Farm in Dresden, Maine.
It's a beautiful farm.
It's a beautiful farm. They have 193 acres.
Can people visit it?
Absolutely.
It's in Dresden, Maine. Okay,
Yep,
and we might see you there.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yep.
So you went to work there?
Yep, I went to work there. I was a seasonal apprentice, which is a learning position.
Yes.
On a farm, and I was there for 4 summers, and in between school and college, and I also had a love of people and creativity, so I pursued a little bit of farm education.
Good.
And I really fell back onto the farm in 2007 at the Goranson Farm and began to work for them year-round. And in 2009 was granted the opportunity to lease land, and that was...
That's the Dig Deep
That's
Farm.
the Dig Deep Farm.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And are you certified organic?
Yes.
What does that mean?
To be certified organic, we have a state organic certification program called the Maine Organic Farmers and Gardeners Association. And it basically means that our produce is free of synthetically produced chemicals. So we do use some insecticides which are made out of plant material. And so it's really of no harm to a physical human. or a biological environment. So that's how we manage certain insects, and you can also learn ecological ways, for example, interplanting certain flowers with certain vegetable crops and cover crop.
So people can be assured that all of these fruits and vegetables that you've grown here are free of things that might be harmful to us. That's marvelous.
Absolutely.
And you know, you hear of recalls all the time in grocery stores. We don't have to worry about that from Dig Deep Farm, do we?
Right. I guess a personal opinion is that's kind of the power of supporting someone local.
Right.
Is we can establish a relationship.
And how does one shop for your products?
Sure. We have a community-supported agriculture program.
Those are wonderful, but you need to explain it to others in case they'd like to participate.
Absolutely. Well, our community-supported agriculture program, it's a mutual relationship between customers and farmers. It often works to the extent where the customers prepay in the springtime. So that gives a farmer money up front for a time where there's high production costs and not a lot of produce to sell, especially in our seasonal climate of Maine. And so then they reap the benefits throughout the growing and harvest season. So we have a 35-member community-supported agriculture program. We do a bag share where people receive produce that we pack for them.
Yes.
And we also have a market share. One of my favorite parts as a local farmer is going down to our farmers market right here in Augusta.
Do you take your products to a farmer's market as well? Okay.
Yes, we do.
So you have enough for your community supporters
Very
as well
much.
as for those of us who weren't smart enough to sign up ahead of time.
Well, it's been a great growing opportunity for farmers on the local scene.
Farmers markets are really taking off, aren't they?
They are. It's
I know the
abundance.
hospital even sponsors one because they want their patients to have
Yeah.
healthy food. Don't go away. I'm going to come
Sure.
right back to you because I love this.
Great.
But sometimes she's going to have so much, and this is the month when we do tomatoes are everywhere, for example. But look at the jams and the jellies. So what do we do with this bounty? Because winter's coming and yuck, there are none of these fresh vegetables there. This is where you come in, Allison.
Well, there are so many ways you can preserve all of the
Yes.
produce from the summer and fall because there's
Yes.
you're right, as you said, there is way too much to consume then. And one of the great things about preserving is it's a way to eat local foods year round, which is it's a real means where you can do that to whatever degree you want to get involved with that. You grow or you buy your food from a local farmers market or a CSA in the summer, and then you can put it up yourself.
And before you tell us
yes.
how to do that, tell me a little more about you. How did you get interested in this?
I've always loved cooking, and so I started gardening and putting up my own food probably, 12 or 13 years ago, something like that. And just kind of experimenting on my own over several years. And then a few years ago, I took a master food preserver training through the University of Maine Cooperative Extension, and that really increased my knowledge tremendously. And that's an awesome program.
And do you teach people
I
how
do.
to do
Yep.
this?
So
Tell
I
us
teach,
about that.
Yep. So I teach some canning and preserving classes, as do there are classes offered through the University of Maine Cooperative Extension. I also teach some independently as well, and it's a great way to share share the knowledge with people who want to give it a try. Because it's not hard, but it does take a little bit of know-how. Once, particularly with canning, once you get the basics down, you can totally do it. But a class is a great way to get introduced to it.
And I'm going to come back to you in a minute, but do you also take some of the preserved foods so that you can keep the fresh foods going year round?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so you're going to have to talk about both of these young ladies in terms of how they're important to you at the Cohen Center. All right, well, you want to talk about how you preserve some, you have some interesting equipment behind you.
Yeah, well,
you look like a doctor or something with this. Would you like to explain any of the things that you brought?
Sure, there are several different ways that you can go about preserving.
Okay.
And actually, I want to mention probably the easiest way to get into it first, which doesn't pertain to any of this equipment, just because if anyone wants to kind of just start and they haven't tried it,
slowly.
freezing is actually very quick and easy, and it doesn't require any equipment other than a freezer.
But you're going to tell us how to prevent freezer burn.
Yeah,
and
so
those
you do. So you basically need to blanch your vegetables first, which is as simple as
And
dipping them in water
means?
so you put them in boiling water for like 3 minutes, and then you have to put them in. It depends on the vegetable, but 2 to 3 minutes, and then you put them in a boiling water bath. Excuse me,
cold
ice bath. Thank you, not boiling water bath. they put them in a nice bath to cool them
Yes.
off real quickly. And then you pack them in freezer-safe containers and put them in the freezer. So
what are some of the better items for doing that?
I love freezing green beans.
Green beans,
because
and those
that's
are
how
always
I like.
great,
Yeah,
aren't
and
they?
they're easy to do. You just trim them up, you wash them, and they're quick. And the other thing that's really nice is that when after you've done the prep of blanching and freezing them, then when you go to eat green beans later in the year, they're already prepared. You've washed them, you've trimmed them, you've already blanched them, so they're much quicker than dealing with a fresh vegetable.
Yeah.
So it's actually quite convenient. So that's an easy way. There's also canning, which is I have this canning pot here. This is a boiling water bath canner, which is
you can put it up
okay.
here just for a minute. We don't want to block this lovely lady,
All
but
right.
just for a moment.
So basically, it's essentially just a very large stock pot that has.
You want to help
whoops,
pull out?
So this
Yeah,
is
thank
not
you.
really clustered.
She's used to being a helper here with all of these
And it just
things.
has a rack in the middle of it, and this is where you put your jars. But this is a
So you would take a jar.
Sure.
Put it
you
in
would-
there
Yeah,
like
and
that.
so the
Yep.
jars would go in there. And this is suitable for canning certain types of products. This is suitable for canning high acid products, which
What are
would be
some
like
high acid?
like fruits. So like these canned pears here. Thank you very much.
So those were put in a pot like that.
They were. So
Okay.
I
These are pears.
Yep, so
Just
those are
plain pears.
Yes, canned and apple juice. Actually.
And apple juice.
Yeah.
You need
Yeah.
something. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people do sugar, but I kind of like to keep
you
that
like the apple
low,
juice.
so I do the apple juice route.
And
that's apple
this
sauce.
is apple sauce.
And that can also be done in a boiling water.
And what
bath
is
canner
in the
as well.
applesauce?
That's just apples.
Just pure, beautiful apples.
Just, yeah,
All
cooked
right.
apples.
Great.
So jams and jellies are also great for canning. Anything that's low acid, like vegetables without additional acid, meats, dairy, that all needs to be pressure canned, which is a different piece of equipment that I don't have here with me today.
Right, okay.
But we also have a dehydrator, moving on to
Okay.
a different means of preservation. These are really easy to use, and they're great for fruits. So apples, peaches, pears, cut them up.
So you have great
Put 'em in the
snacks
dehydrator.
after you have taken
Exactly.
the water out. That's
Yeah,
what
exactly.
This does.
And the nice thing is that this is convenient. It's got these little trays that you just put your food on like that, and they're very, very easy to use. But you don't actually have to have one of these to dehydrate your food. You can do it in an oven as well, as long as.
How would you do it in an oven?
So you need it to be low temperature. It needs
Very
to be
low
right around
temperature.
140 degrees or so, and you do need some ventilation, like air circulation,
Mm-hmm.
and you want low humidity. But you can do it that way as well. So that's another option. So let's see, we've got canning, dehydrating.
I want to talk to you about the canning a minute.
Sure.
It was very important to everybody
Sure.
as we're more sensitive to the use of salt.
Yes.
And if you're on a low sodium diet, avoid canned foods that you buy in the grocery store, we're
Yes.
told often, because there's so much salt.
Yes.
You don't have to do that when you're doing your own canning, do you?
That is correct, yes. And actually, that's one of the great things about preserving in general, but you can totally control what goes into
What
your food.
goes in.
And you know what goes into your food. So yes, you really don't, for most things, you don't need a whole lot of salt. There are some things that do require some salt, but a lot of things don't, and you can definitely, just know what's in there.
So not only is it delicious, but there are tons of health benefits,
Oh,
it
absolutely.
sounds like.
Absolutely.
And what's your favorite method of preserving? It's just, you like the
I
variety?
actually like the variety because for me it depends on what it is that I'm preserving. Some things I prefer frozen, some things I prefer canned, some things I prefer dried, and then there's root cellaring and fermenting as well. But it just depends on
And you
what
will
I'm
have
doing.
to tell us about root cellars, but we'll be
Yes,
back in just a
sure.
moment because we're going to turn all these beautiful things that are grown and preserved into food, great dishes. Mr. Ricker, thank you. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
This is the new Hollywood Casino, featuring the heart-pounding action of live table games with Vegas-style blackjack, roulette, poker, and more. Now playing at the place where the fun never stops. From the thrill seekers to the blockbuster winners, here you've got the lead role because there's no place like Hollywood.
Spectrum Generations. Live healthy, live well. Get answers, get connected. Spectrum Generations, specializing in the art of aging.
Life should be celebrated. It's a special day when family and friends gather together to celebrate the life of a loved one. A celebration of life helps us honor our loved one and keep our memories alive. Whether you're planning a traditional funeral, a creative celebration of life, or a blend of both. At Knowlton Hewins Roberts, we are truly committed to meet the personal and unique needs of you and your family. Knowlton Hewins Roberts. Visit us online or visit our 2 locations in Augusta and Winthrop.
Hello and welcome back to Mature Lifestyle. We're having a delicious morning today. We're talking about growing these gorgeous fruits, but that's not enough. And vegetables. Is a tomato a vegetable or a fruit?
I am still learning this process, but I think technically it's supposedly a fruit.
All right, well you can grow it, we know that. And then we also know that you can preserve those, so on those dark winter evenings you've got this fabulous taste. And I want to talk to you a little bit because you not only, you take both. You take the fresh and you take the preserved, and at the Cohen Center you work magic with these things. We want to tell us a little bit about your work there and how things may have changed with healthy foods for your diners, people who eat your good food.
Working at Spectrum Generations, the Cohen Center in Hallowell, we are working with farmers. We have a farm in Albion that we're working with, and other people will bring in baskets of fresh produce, and it's great. I mean, I'm trying to take as much local product as possible and turn it around for our consumers.
That new? Is this a new trend, would you say? Were you always, maybe you always did that, but I'm not sure everybody
For me,
did.
I have always, I mean, I've been in the restaurant business for a long time, and I've always used small farms
As best you could.
as best I could for the restaurants. But working for Spectrum Generations, with the We Sustain Maine program, we want to take as much local product as possible and get it out there for our consumers.
So it's a very conscious decision.
It's a new program for us.
Well, tell us about We Sustain Maine program. What a great title as well.
Yeah,
it's like the Dig Deep Farm.
I mean, the way I understand is we want to use, I want to be taking product that's being produced in season and preserving it. And so like if I get 200 pounds of cauliflower or broccoli or something, we'll bring it in, we'll blanch it, we'll shock it, and we have a brand new blast freezer that we just got with our grants. And I will be able to put that in the freezer, and so during the off season, when it's not fresh produce season, we can then go in the freezer and pull out products that came from our local farms and send them out with our meals and in our center too.
Oh, that's great. So you deal with both the grower, with the fresh products, but you've also read many of these books, I'll bet.
I've done a fair amount of preserving myself, yeah.
And how has that been received by the people?
Oh, you know, I've been with Spectrum Generations for, I think, 7 months now, and it's by far the most rewarding chef job I've ever had, ever.
Isn't that great? And why is that?
Well, because my consumers, the people that I'm cooking for, they are in need. They love the products that we're producing for them, and it's one of those really good, feel-good kind of jobs.
Do you prepare meals on wheels as
Yep,
well?
yeah. On average, we do about 500 meals a day, Monday through Friday.
You use the same type approach to those meals?
I have a congregate dining room at the Cohen Center that I have anywhere from 100 to 150 people that come in throughout the every day, and then we also send about 300 to 350 meals out the back door for the Meals on Wheels recipients, and pretty much there's no difference in the food. Like what we're producing for the dining room is also what we're producing for the Meals on Wheels. So everyone is getting, you know, I haven't got it to where every single person is getting the local produce yet, but with the grants and the renovations that we're going through, we will be able.
Tell us a little more about what you got with that wonderful grant.
Oh,
New kitchen?
It's fantastic. As we speak right this minute, we're putting our kitchen back together, and we are opening tomorrow for the first time in 3 weeks.
What a perfect time to be reopening your kitchen
absolutely.
when you get it fresh. You can have the preserve next.
Exactly. We're so excited.
So you keep working hard. It needs more
No
food.
problem, I can do that.
So a blast freezer, so we can actually preserve the foods properly. A new walk-in, so we actually have a place to store it safely before we can get to the preservation stage. They open up walls, and I mean the expansion, it's amazing. It's really amazing. We're very excited to have.
Your face just shows.
Oh, I'm so excited to cook. I just want to take this product and go back to the kitchen and cook.
Is there anything here you've never prepared? We have.
No.
I didn't, and you grow melons here
You
too.
grow
Talk about
watermelons.
growing a melon in Maine,
Oh,
please.
sure. Well, this has been a gradual evolution, but as an agricultural resource, I do utilize black plastic for certain crops. Sure. Watermelon, tomatoes, peppers, for example. They're heat loving. So it's great so we can warm their roots up
Right.
and plant them earlier in the springtime and get them growing.
And you have the are these zinnias? You
Yes,
have those
they
as well.
are.
Are they part of your ecosystem in terms of keeping insects away? Or
We use them for cut
For beauty.
flowers. Absolutely. Beauty
we
is
need that too.
a very important part of an ecosystem.
Okay, I want to ask you a question. Is there anything in here you don't know how to cook yet?
No.
Do you know how to, what is this?
I don't know the exact name of that squash, but
What is it?
A delicata winter
Delicata,
squash.
yeah.
All right, so you don't know the name, but you know how to cook it.
Yes.
So it's a squash, we know
Yes.
that. So you talked a little bit about preserving, but this box over here, unlike the tomatoes and the beans, has got potatoes. How do we keep those for the winter?
So that's an example of something that stores really well in a root cellar. And actually a lot of the root
what
crops
is
do.
a root
okay,
cellar?
so it's funny, it's, when people hear the word root cellar, they think
Yeah.
of this sort of
Exactly,
large
a giant
building or
basement.
big basement or whatever. And sure, there are those, but if you don't have one of those, you can still root cellar.
Create your own.
You can still create your own, and in fact, you may already have conditions in your home that are suitable. So really what root cellaring is it's storing the produce in its raw state, its unprocessed state, at a temperature and at a humidity level that are appropriate for that particular type of vegetable. And they vary a little bit depending on how much humidity and temperature they want. But if you live in an old house that has a damp basement, it's very possible that you already have the right temperature
I'm
to
ready.
store potatoes, apples, those sorts of things. Another example would
Apples
be,
as well.
Yeah, they like cool, moist environments, which is like a lot of old house damp basements.
Sure.
So, another example would be, say winter squash and pumpkins like it drier and a little warmer, say like 50 degrees. So an unheated bedroom in your house perhaps might fit
Right.
the bill. So so I always encourage people actually to buy very inexpensive thermometers and hygrometers which measure
to
humidity, just to
monitor.
kind of figure out, I actually have the right environment to do this. But if you don't, there are ways you can create it without huge expense. It takes a little, figuring it out because, just for your own, there are many different ways to do it, but there are small scale ways you can root cellar.
How about carrots? Do you put them in sand or something?
Some people do. I have not stored it that way, but I know that a lot of people do
It's
it that
not
way.
necessary.
Well, yeah, I have to say, I actually, I store my carrots in sort of an unusual
Tell
kind
us
of
how
way.
you do it.
Well, so I don't do true root cellaring with my carrots because
Okay.
I actually I actually had I was really limited space-wise.
But that's an important point. You
Yeah.
don't have to have a giant home to have a
No,
root
you
cellar.
don't. And actually, but I have to clarify that this is not true root cellaring, what I was doing.
Okay.
But I think it might be useful for viewers because
Sure.
it's kind of an intermediary step
Yes.
if you have never done this before and want to try. So we have an extra refrigerator that we have. Now it's a refrigerator, so it uses electricity, which normally root cellaring doesn't do. But the point is that you can store large quantities of local produce that you buy in the fall, and carrots are a perfect example. I buy 50 pounds of carrots in October from the
Wow.
farmer's market, and they last me until late April.
Kidding.
And I store them in a fridge. So again, it's not true root cellaring,
But it's a
I'm
shortcut,
creating-
easy way while
It
you're
is, and
getting
it's,
started.
You basically simulate the same types of environment, what the carrots need. A certain level of a certain temperature, which is just above freezing, 32 to 36, and then a certain level of humidity.
Now, what would both of you ask her to grow more of? What do you want more? What do your people like the most to eat?
Well, I wouldn't. Your variety is fantastic. On
Variety.
an acre, I can't even.
How many acres do you have?
I lease a little over 2 acres, but we grow on 1 acre of that
Wow.
ground.
It's amazing.
It is amazing, the
especially where you
amount.
have 35 consumers and you still go to market. That's
Make
amazing.
it work.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
And what would you like to see more of?
Oh gosh.
You love it all too, don't you?
I do. That's
the variety
That's
is
a hard
the important
question. I
thing.
love having the variety, and I like trying different things that I've not tried before because there are so many different varieties.
Do you-
Heirloom varieties.
Heirloom variety.
Heirloom
Do you
varieties.
try a lot of different things? How do you introduce a new food to your consumer?
I cook it.
You
That's
just cook it
Yeah.
and mix
Yeah.
it with something they're accustomed to.
Yeah. A few weeks back, a gentleman brought in some beautiful zucchini and summer squash that were heirloom variety, and they were gorgeous. And it was an hour and 15 minutes before service, and I hadn't figured out what I was going to do for my second entree that day. And this product came through the door, and I kind of thought for a couple of seconds, and I said, well, they love eggplant parmesan, so we'll just do it with zucchini and summer squash.
It was good.
It was amazing.
So you made up your recipe too.
like
All
that
right.
on the fly.
Well, stay tuned. There's just a bit more on this delicious show. We'll be right back.
Spectrum Generations. Live healthy. Live well. Get answers. Get connected. Spectrum Generations. Specializing in the art of aging.
This is the new Hollywood. Hollywood Casino. Featuring the heart-pounding action of live table games with Vegas-style blackjack, roulette, poker, and more. Now playing at the place where the fun never stops. From the thrill seekers to the blockbuster winners. Here, you've got the lead role because there's no place like Hollywood.
Welcome back. We have just a couple of minutes to talk about the final things with beautiful vegetables and fruits behind us. Would you please tell us, DL, a little bit about how we can get access to your vegetables?
Absolutely. As a community-supported agriculture grower, establishing relationships with our community is really important. And probably the easiest way to access us, or all farmers and local food producers, is at a farmer's market.
Farmer's market.
In a way, there is a program called Get Real, Get Maine, put on through the Maine Department of Agriculture. So you could call the Department of Agriculture. There's also the Maine Organic Farmers and Gardeners Association. And if you're adept to using the internet, then you can go online and
Sky's
access.
the limit.
Yeah, exactly. All local farmers, where there's a farmer's market closest to you.
And there are farmers markets now in almost every community, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Yep.
Right. And then you, tell us, you didn't get to tell us
Yes, I
about your
know.
cookbook, so very briefly. I wish we could go over each.
No, basically, I want to, encourage
Yes,
people
please.
to try preserving, because it's really not hard. And it just takes some know-how. And one of the best ways to do it is first take a class through the University of Maine Cooperative Extension is a great way and a great introduction, as I mentioned. If you can't do that, these books are a great resource. So this one here is called So Easy to Preserve.
Yes.
This is highly recommended. Also, the Ball books are very useful. The Ball Blue Book and the Ball Home Preserving. And then if you're want to get more into root cellaring, these cover a little bit of root
books about
cellaring,
that
but
as
this one is
well.
also really good.
And
So-
we'll want to find both of you for more, but I want to know how I can come and dine with you.
Well, I'd encourage everyone to come to the Cohen Center in Hallowell and come and see what we've done to the place, and come try our fantastic foods and what we're doing with the local produce and
Are you going to publish a cookbook with all your good recipes as well?
talked about it, but I don't see it in the future.
Not
Not anytime soon.
Not right away.
Not
You're
right
too
away.
busy finding, preserving, and serving delicious meals to all
Absolutely.
of us. And I understand people come from miles around to eat with you.
I understand that.
So, healthy summer, thank you so much. And fall we're going into, thank you so much for joining us on Mature Lifestyle. Live, laugh, and learn. That's what we try to do here. Thanks for joining us.
Mature Lifestyle is made possible by Hollywood Casino. There's no place like Hollywood. And by Knowlton Hewins Roberts Funeral Homes and Cremation Service. Our homes are warm and welcoming, and we take care of you and your family like we would our own. Call us anytime. We are here for you.
You're watching TWC TV, only on Time Warner Cable.